All right, perfect. So, what the Four Noble Truths are a way to what the Buddhists call nirvana. So, it's kind of like just a set of four um, principles that are, ever present in life, and which leads right into the eightfold path, or the path to escape what we deem as suffering, or the cycle of what's called samsara. So it begins with the Four Noble Truths, and then it leads right into what we call the Eightfold Path. So to get started, the first of the Four Noble Truths is what we call the reality of suffering, or dukkha, and it basically states that if you're alive, or if you're a human being on planet Earth, you're going to experience suffering in some way, shape, form, or fashion. There's really no way to get around it. And the word that the Buddhists use, as I stated, is called dukkha. And dukkha, which it just means that which is difficult to bear. So it's not necessarily directly translated as suffering. It could be pain, stress, anguish, anything that's difficult to bear as a human being. So loosely stated, we translate it into suffering, and it can be gross, which means that it's something big, or it can be something small, and it can range from extreme physical and mental pain and torment to subtle inner conflict. So it can be something that's, quote unquote, external or outside of self, and it can also be something that's internal. So, if you didn't do what you wanted to do, or you didn't do something right, and you beat yourself up about it in your own mind, all of that is dukkha, which is just something that is difficult to bear. So something that's unpleasant. So, that can have a um, a wide variety or range of different gradients in between. Um, and then this is what instruct our grandmaster says about the first of the Four Noble Truths. He says that from birth to death, life is a succession of physical and psychological torments that leaves no one untouched. Um, Yes, for a time you may ward off suffering with youth, health, and riches, but ultimately you experience it. Suffering is a universal constant that is ever in this ever-changing world. That's what he has to say on the topic. And as we're going through this, is not anything that's like doom and gloom. It's more of just a recognition. So people suffer every day, at every moment, you know, throughout this planet, and us distinguishing this suffering now is the path, or the beginning to escape it. So this is actually just calling attention to something that's already going on, and giving us a way out. So does anybody have any comments about the first noble truth, which
Can you
is the
spell dukkha?
recognition of suffering? Go ahead.
Can you
Spell
spell
it.
dukkha, please? Yes, please.
It's Dukkha. Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, sorry.
Oh, yeah. Somebody else give me some commentary about it. What you think?
I feel like it's a sort of a good circumstance of a thinking for sure. Yeah. Because if you already think that life is suffering to begin with, it kind of takes away, like when bad things happen to you, you won't go into too much of a bad way, a bad mindset if you already know that life is suffering. So when bad things happen to you, you won't automatically just go into a deep depression as easily.
Got it. Somebody else?
I have a question. So for Dukkha, this is the first of the Four Noble Truths, yes?
Yes.
So just to sum it up, what I got is life has inevitable suffering. Is that a good way to say it for the first one?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay,
If you're alive, you're gonna experience some form of suffering from birth to death, and
thank you.
form the form that it takes is variable. But at some point in time, even if it's on your deathbed, so to speak, at some point in time, if you're a human being living on Earth, you will experience suffering. Good, makes sense.
Yep, makes sense.
Instructor Nate, did you have any thing to add on that one?
The form of all human suffering is caused from cravings and desires. So when you learn to
Yeah,
calm
perfect.
or curb those cravings and desires, that's when you begin to learn how to suffer well.
Perfect. So that's actually leading right into the second one. So the second one is actually the cause of suffering. So the cause of suffering is exactly what Instructor Nate said. The clinging or desire, or what is translated as thirst, is the second cause of suffering. And this particular um, noble truth takes, it can kind of be broken down into three causes. So it's ignorance, which is, that can cause suffering. Um, Aversion, which means something you don't want, and then being grasping or clinging, or thirst, which is something that you do want but you don't have. So um, yeah, the second one is the cause of suffering. So the first one is dukkha, or suffering. It's inevitable. The second is suffering has a cause. So it's the cause. The second one is the cause of the first one, and it is based around ignorance, aversion, which means something that you don't want, and then clinging, grasping, or thirst, or basically saying something that you do want but you don't have. So that would be second one, which is the cause of suffering. And what our Grand Master says about that one is, he says, simply because you desire or crave all kinds of things, the ridiculous nature of these thirsts is that the more you try to satisfy them, the worse they become. The more you get, the more you want, and the more you must have. These desires, left to run unchecked, leaves you frustrated and unhappy, and they don't necessarily have to control you. When you master them, you obtain a peace and serenity that no amount of appetite feeding can match. There was a lot in that, so could somebody provide some commentary around that one?
There's a mantra that speaks to that that goes, the path to enlightenment is in decrease. So the more you let go of, the more that you actually gain. You gain yourself in letting go of those cravings and desires.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody else?
Yeah, it just relates to the old proverbs, more money, more problems. You feel me? Like you said, the more you desire things and the more you get. And I recognize that the more money you get too, it's like you never satisfy unless you have true happiness. So it's a good way to put it into proverbs as well.
Perfect. Anybody else got some commentary around the second noble truth?
Is there a name for this one? Like the first one is Dukkha. Is there a name for this one as well?
It is. Dang, you testing my Sanskrit knowledge. Give me 1 second. Uh, yeah, it's Trishna, Trishna, and it means aspiration, longing, craving, thirst.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I thought it was that, but I just didn't know how to spell it. So, all right, anybody else? Questions, comments? All right, we'll move on to the third one. So the third one is there is a release from this suffering, and this one is called nirvana, Nirvana, and it means beyond grasping and control and conditional existence. And nirvana also means awakening or waking up to the true nature of reality. um, and what our Grandmaster says about that one is you gain this release by realizing that the true nature of yourself is not found in trying to satisfy your desires. In doing so, you will ease pain, suffering, and unhappiness. And it's basically the mantra that Instructor Nate just said. Can you repeat the mantra that you said?
Of course, true growth comes in decrease.
I got it. True growth comes in decrease. So
Actually,
a lot of this. Okay. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just about to say, even if you think about it, like when you first learn a maneuver, your maneuver is really big. It becomes wide. But as you continue to train, your maneuver becomes smaller and smaller. So that's some decrease right there.
Exactly. And what I was going to say is that if you look at this, a lot of this is moving towards another decrease, but a decrease in ego. And like the first one, suffering and the cause of suffering, dukkha and trishna is about, the individual, the self, and clinging to things that satisfy the ego and satisfy the self. And when you move towards the release from those things, now you are decreasing the ego and becoming more of the whole or the all. And ultimately, you see that in not grasping, there is no one to grasp, and there is nothing to hold on or grasp onto, because you are everything. You are the all. So, that's kind of where we're moving. We're moving from the individual to the whole. Anybody has okay.
I've also heard it said that everything is constantly, fading away or dying off. So in truth, you can't really hold on to anything, and all you really have is yourself. Just like all you really have is the moment. You can't live in the past. You can't live in the future. And every time you try, it creates those cravings and desires. So the more you let go of, the more you would decrease, and the more you grow.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, perfectly stated. Anybody have any commentary on the third noble truth?
Yeah, I have some. So recently in my classes and throughout just different research, I've been finding that like early classes of humans were actually meant to travel, and that we actually aren't supposed to like live in houses and like stay in some certain areas. So that kind of ties into what you guys are just saying now. So I kind of want to hear comments on what you guys think about, are humans, supposed to stay in houses? Like, what are you guys' opinions on that?
You want to answer first, or you want me to answer first?
I can answer. I'm part Apache actually, and my Native American ancestors never actually made permanent settlements. They used to travel all over the place. They were nomads. They were hunter-gatherers, and they had very little impact on the earth and the land. In fact, they cared about it so much that they took care of it on a scale that we don't even bother to participate in now. So there's a lot of wisdom and truth in that right there.
Got it. Got it.
Yep. And I concur. I mean, whether you stay in houses or stay in one place or move, my personal belief is that you should do it as least harm to Earth as possible. So, as we say, everything is impermanent, and I believe that's how we should approach it. As it is impermanent. So, why am I wanting to make permanent things when I know that everything is impermanent? So, I mean, to me, it all comes back to ego. Like any of that, wanting to be remembered, building edifices and all of that stuff is it's all ego. So, the least egotistical existence is what, we should strive for, in my opinion.
All right, that makes sense. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Anybody have any commentary on the third noble truth? All right. Well, I guess we can move on then. So the fourth noble truth is um, the true nature of oneself, and the fourth noble truth is actually the eightfold path. So in the coming weeks, we'll be going through the eightfold path and what it means and all of that kind of stuff. But basically, what the eightfold path is, the path laid down by the Buddha himself, and it's the path to what we call awakening. And he meditated for several years, and at one point in his life, um, I'm not sure if you know the essence of the yogis where he came from, but pretty much they live a life of what's called aestheticism, and basically they have to renounce all worldly possessions. They are not able to work or anything like that. They can only get what they get through what we would call begging. So he had got to a point where he was only eating uh, 1 grain of rice per day and meditating for years. So very intense fasting, very intense meditation, and he was so adamant about his meditation that after some years of meditating, he kept falling asleep and not being in active meditation. So he cut his eyelids off because he kept going to sleep. So that's how serious he was about, this meditation and this awakening. But post his meditation, he developed the eightfold path, and that's what he laid down for us. Uh, and the eightfold path kind of takes three uh, segments or three um, tiers. And the first tier is the tier of wisdom or the path of wisdom. And then the second tier is the path of morality. And then the third tier is the path of meditation. So when you get the eightfold path, you'll see uh, which is which and which goes into which tier and why and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's basically how it's broken down into 3 tiers: wisdom, morality, and meditation. And basically, what what the Buddha himself called the eightfold path is, it's like a raft. So if you're in the water and you have a raft and you make it to land, you don't take the raft with you. You leave the raft where you are and continue on your journey. So the eightfold path is kind of like the boat to get to the destination, but not something that you hold on to and carry around. Once you get there, leave it behind. Questions, comments?
No, instructor.
Is everybody quiet because y'all doing something, because y'all just get it and understand it? You just don't feel like talking?
No, I'm
This,
understanding.
Yeah, taking these notes.
yeah, I'm in understanding. This is something that I had wrote in this book previous to, because we talked about this in class months ago. So I'm just touching up on notes and some things that I may have missed previous to.
Perfect. Anybody else? Questions, comments? concerns, anything to add?
When you say you leave it behind you, so are you saying you leave it behind you once you reach nirvana, or you leave it behind you once you reach a place that you wanted to go to in terms of your spirituality? Like, because in my mind, if I reach nirvana, I feel like those things will always just be a part of me. So, what does he necessarily mean by leave it behind?
That's actually a good question, but I guess it will ultimately come down to what your ultimate goal is. So it's really dependent upon the person, to be honest. Like, you know, for some people, they, enter into this art or this discipline to have a peace of mind. So that may be your goal. Others, may want to reach enlightenment. That may be your goal. So, ultimately it would just depend on you and what you would like to get out of it and what goals you have for your person.
Got it.
Anybody else, questions, comments, concerns? Um, I'm not sure if you had anything else, Instructor Nate, but that was pretty much what I wanted to cover for tonight. So if nobody has anything, we can actually end early. And then just know that, in the next classes, we'll be talking about the Eightfold Path and going deep into that. So kind of just wanted to introduce everybody to it tonight and go through the Four Noble Truths.
I have something before we disconnect. I'm sorry. Did you have something else to say, Nathan?
No,
Yeah, I did, but if you want to go ahead and talk first, that's fine.
So it's about Trishna. So isn't there a balance to it? Because okay, so let's use my job and my profession and where I'm trying to go. So within that, there is a craving, there is a longing for a certain level in my field. Like I want more, I desire more, I crave more. So isn't that's not suffering, correct?
You want to answer or you want me to answer?
I'm going to go ahead and say what I was going to say, and it might provide the answer, but
Okay.
technically the Eightfold Path is a part of you, and this what we're doing now is to get you in tune with it, just like the ancients used to use crystals to get in tune with certain energy, and that crystal or that path is like a focus, and once that focus becomes a part of you, you can leave it behind, and it'll just
Uh,
always be with you.
awesome, awesome. Thank you.
And also you also don't need to actually crave that because everything that you need is already on your path. It's already set before you. So when you let go of all that, it just comes to you. So just let it be and just be, and you'll find everything you've ever needed. It's already within you.
Gratitude. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, what I was going to say is that it is a form of suffering because remember we said that that craving for something that you don't have now brings a negative feeling, so to speak, because in wanting to be somewhere that you're not, it indirectly is a dissatisfaction with where you are. And not saying that it's a bad thing, because we all want to attain or strive to be more than what we are. But at the same time, just know that it's all impermanent. So, and wanting to be somewhere that you're not is impermanent. And getting there, you'll have a satisfaction. But then with that satisfaction, just know that that's also impermanent. Because once you get to where you want to be at this point, now you're going to be wanting to strive to get to another place and another place. So, it's a easy example in that as a white belt, you want to get to green. Then when you get to green, yay, you're happy you got to green for the first day. And then once you make green, now you want to get to purple. So it's like, it's always, because it's the same with us, even once we make black, it's like, yes, I made black, but now I want to get to dine and second dine and third dine. So, it's like we're never satisfied when we are living outside of the moment.
Okay.
And wanting to be somewhere is living in the future. And not saying that, again, not saying that it's bad or wrong or anything like that. Just know that we're outside of the moment whenever we have a craving or wanting or a desire.
Mm.
And
It sounds like,
again,
I'm
it's
sorry.
not bad. No, go ahead.
Uh, it makes me think about when we were in class and Instructor Vaughn put up his two fingers. I can't recall what it was, but he was like that small space, uh, close to being perfect, but you are not perfect.
Hmm.
That's what it
Yeah, it's
makes me
called
think.
asymptote.
Thank you. Exactly.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, exactly. And what that is a mathematical function that never crosses the axis, the x or y axis, but it gets very, very close. The the higher you get or the longer you get on the x and the y axis, it gets closer and closer and closer, but it never touches the axis. So he was saying that the axis is perfection, and us, we are, the parabola or the function that never crosses over into that realm of perfection. And again, it's not bad or wrong because if you look at, just say, if you're, you know, that close to where you need a magnifying glass to see whether the parabola is touching the axis, could you not say that you're perfect? Because you are that close.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Anybody else? Questions, comments?
Will
I guess.
we have
Go ahead. Go ahead.
um just real quick, will we have access to this recording?
Um, I think so. I need to. So it is being recorded, and I, I just have to look to see where the recordings are stored, and then I can send it some kind of way. But the thing is that because this is Blue Jeans and not Zoom, I'm not as familiar with it. But I am logged in as an administrator. So once we get done with this call, I'll go, and click around on the Blue Jeans site to see if I can get access to the recording.
I
Okay,
believe
thank
Brittany's
you.
very familiar with that system, so she can probably help out if you need her to.
Okay, yeah, that'd be good. And you also have fabulous classmates that took great notes, so you can always ask them. I think her mic is messed up. You can go
I
ahead,
got it.
Emerson.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Oh yeah, no problem.
All right. I just guess I'll speak again before we leave. I really want to thank y'all for bringing this knowledge to us because in my classes, I'm starting to find things that are relating to what we talk about. For instance, like in my biology class, we started to learn about radioactive waves and decay, and we actually started learning about beta decay and alpha decay. And she was talking about how she didn't even want to touch gamma, and I'm like, okay, I'm actually understanding things. Like this
Mm,
is pretty sweet. So I'm enjoying the classes and how it's relating to my everyday life. And I just want to say I appreciate y'all.
perfect. Yeah, we appreciate you for coming. You know, without the students, there is no class. So yeah, we appreciate everybody coming on here and being diligent student and you know, just soaking up everything that we have to offer. All right. Anybody else? Questions, comments? If not, you got 20 minutes to look over notes and study and all of that good stuff. Got anything else, Instructor Nate, before we dismiss?
Yes, I do have a question for the students. I was wondering if you all know what the four natural enemies are.
Nope, haven't heard of it.
Yes.
Would you mind sharing with us then?
From class. First one is fear. Clarity, power, and I know the last one is death and old age. I remember that one vividly.
Old age, correct. You
Okay,
definitely got it right.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Did
Thank
you want
you.
to expound on it, or you just wanted to know for knowledge purposes?
Well, I wanted to know for knowledge purposes, but the four natural enemies is part of the Four Noble Truths. They are closely and
Exactly.
directly related to each other.
Mhm. Yeah, that was definitely something that we can plan to go into in the subsequent classes as well. So if you want, we can start the next class with the four natural enemies, and then go into the eightfold path.
That would be a good idea. I feel like that'd be spectacular.
Perfect. Okay. Anybody else? Questions, comments, concerns? If not, everybody have a great night, and I'll see you either in person or on next day.
All right, y'all. Peace. Have a nice night.
Peace, everybody.
Peace,
Have a
everybody.
good night.
Peace.
You all have a nice night, and thank you for being here too. Much love.